Well, hello and welcome to Watches Tonight. This is Watchbox Studios and I am your host, Tim Masso. This evening I discuss and analyze the 2023 Audemars Piguet collection. We chat live and I share your wrist shots right here tonight on Watches Tonight. Sean's on the switcher, spare a thought for him, and thewatchbox.com if you are in the Middle East or Europe. The Watchbox is coming to Dubai with a mammoth collection of watches spanning 20 years of F. P. Journe and de Bethune. This is our world tour exhibition, 20 years of two of our favorite brands. It is a physical event with live showings, discussion, and our own Jack Forster on hand to facilitate. This is going to be February 15th, 16th, and 17th. Reach out to the world tour at thewatchbox.com. We do need to know you're coming. For security reasons, registration is required to attend, but that's the only reason. So please reach out to World Tour at thewatchbox.com and secure your appointment for a once-in-a-lifetime luxury watch experience. All right, live in the box, you guys are right on it. Decilis 2, Artaud Charles from New York City, Enrique Cassiano, Edward Ledden of Sweden. We've got Ron H. from Sydney, Miroslav joining in, Matteo joining in, Joe Pinto from Louisville, Eddie Landsberg, Outlaw Pagoda, Richard Combs from South Florida, an old friend who we will never forget from back in the day. Jerry Adams joins in from Colorado in the Mountain West, and we've got Adam Crossfire, Jim Millett, Fernando from Atlanta, where I used to live, and we've got Bobby G, first time catching us live from London. Welcome, guys. Join me on Instagram, by the way. It's the fun after the show. You can keep track of the comings and goings in the life of Tim Masso as I regale you with tales, 1 minute at a time, of watches that are often not even listed on our website, like that lapis dial tantalum Moser in the lower corner. So check me out on Instagram, Tim_Masso. All right, let's take a look at a few of yours on mine. These are good ones too, guys. Kevin L. discovers that the best Black Panther watch might have actually been made by de Bethune, not Audemars Piguet, and that is a really nice match with the DB28 JPS John Player Special. Eric R. from Utah blazes away with the Romain Gaultier HMS 10, looking good, finished second to none. We have Nat Y of Thailand, who posts a powerhouse pose with his Chapek Antarctique Salmon dial and his Patek Philippe 5226G. We have Amin S of Texas, his white gold Rolex Date 8 blazing with gems, rolling with the Bavarian Motor Works, and Han CQ is the boss with his Rolex Daytona and Porsche 911 Turbo on the mean streets of Singapore. Guys, keep them coming. Send them to mondaymailbag@thewatchbox.com. Let's see who else is in the box right now. We got MCC, CLF, Dave from Maryland. We've got Chaba joining in from Budapest. We've got Zach S. We've got Mazen M. and Hale Bop. And Stephen E. Welcome. I see it's afternoon wherever you are. All right, guys. So Paul PAH logging in from Los Angeles on our left coast. I love it, guys. Okay. So from LA all the way back to Les Brassus, the Audemars Piguet Le Universelle. This is technically the Universal. Le Universelle is its historical predecessor, but we're going to talk all about it in a moment because this is the rock star watch from any brand in 2023. So even in a year with a new Royal Oak concept and a Royal Oak offshore tourbillon chronograph, Audemars Piguet's ultimate watch casts shade on both of those. In fact, for the first time in what seems like ages, AP's biggest release of the year isn't a Royal Oak at all. So officially, this is the fourth in the research and development series. It's the R&D number 4 from AP's sequence of flagship concept watches that you can buy. So this is the Grande Complication addition to the Code 1159 dress watch line, and it's being billed as more than that. Audemars Piguet is saying this is in fact the first ultra complication wristwatch ever made in the industry. And as complicated as it looks, it's even more so in fact. Want one? Well, it's going to cost you. I'm going to tell you right up front, you're looking at 1.45 million Swiss francs to buy the solid dial version. Do you want something a little bit more special? Well, 1.6 million Swiss francs for the open worked, or I guess we should say open wrought dial. So what is that in US dollars? Well, for the solid dial, $1.56 million. For the open worked, it's going to be $1.72 million. Oh, and guess what? AP can deliver no more than 7 of these in 2023. So even a big checkbook doesn't guarantee you instant gratification. Not this time. So How can a watch be so expensive and challenging to construct at the same time Audemars Piguet throwing resources into this? They're going to have to turn away most of their buyers. Well, some history is in order. Let's talk about what a true grande complication is. Traditionally, a grande complication isn't just a highly complex watch. In fact, you can have a flying tourbillon, world time, multiple time zones, an alarm, and a diving depth gauge in a $1 million, 1,000-piece movement watch, and still not have a grande complication because there's a very specific definition for this type of timepiece. And it doesn't help that Patek Philippe has confused an entire generation of collectors by designating its senior collection grande complications. In fact, of them, only the 5208 meets the classical definition of a grande complication, which is a chronograph, and it has to be at least a chronograph, preferably a split, a perpetual calendar, and a minute repeater. That's right, traditionally, a grande complication does not include a tourbillon, nor does it need one. In 1899, a little bit more history here and a primer for what's coming, Audemars Piguet constructed a fearsomely complex pocket watch dubbed Le Universelle as a commission to German watch label Union. It had 19 complications and a movement with 1,168 parts. The whole thing was the size of a grapefruit and it weighed over a pound. Now, back to 2023. The full name of the new ultra complication is Audemars Piguet Code 1159 Automatic Universelle. So the inspiration is quite clear, but all of the features are standout features here, and they include a grande et petite sonnerie, which is very nice, 2 different ways to chime the time at your discretion, a minute repeater, which chimes the current hours, quarters, and minutes after the quarter on demand. There is a flying tourbillon, not merely a tourbillon, that acts as the constant seconds display for the watch. There is a perpetual calendar and a chronograph that is both a split second and a flyback. It has automatic winding and a Hunter caseback, and you can see there's a lovely little representation of sound pulses on the rotor because it also uses technology from the Super Sonnerie series. So not only is it Hunter caseback, but it is a very loud minute repeater and sonnerie. And it has a shockingly decent power reserve at 64 hours automatic wound. All of this with 1,155 parts pivoting on an unimaginable 90 joules. All of it's cleverly integrated too, guys, starting with the packaging of caliber 1000. This ultra complication measures only 42 millimeters in diameter and 15.55 millimeters thick. That makes it smaller than a standard Royal Oak offshore chronograph that is just a chronograph. And the 1899 pocket watch was 49.5 millimeters in diameter and as heavy as a clock. We're going to go a little bit deeper now and talk about how each of these functions, the repeater, the sonnerie, the perpetual calendar, and the chronograph, are actually even better than they sound at face value. Taking a quick look in the box, we got time and tested from Maine. Joining in from the Northeast, I went to school up near there in New Hampshire. Neo saying hello, humanity. BNS pouring some cold water on proceedings, saying the 1159 line still not growing on me, not that I can afford it. Well, there are some others that might redeem it later in this show. Right here, CLF saying that is some serious cash. Thomas opines differently, that is chump change. And Zach S says, holy moly, that thing is crazy. Well, William B is from South Bend, Indiana, one of the traditional homes of the American auto industry. Vince P saying, love the show, Tim, glad to have you back, and it is good to be back. And from the Great White North above the United States, we have Jay Bro from Halifax, very cool guys, and Keep and Watch UK, staying up late with us in Ascot, England. All right, so let's talk about this watch in detail. The tourbillon isn't necessary to create a true grande complication, but it's there anyway, and Audemars Piguet chose a flying tourbillon, so there's no upper bridge to block your view. It's free sprung, it's got an overcoil, it's adjusted in 5 positions, and it's beautifully hand finished, so even if you choose the solid dial, you've got a little bit of eye tinsel ready to go without taking the watch off of your wrist. Now, the perpetual calendar is of the most legible type. It's an all aperture display. You see the day, the double-digit date, the month, there's even a year right there. Yeah, you get it with the open work dial, but it's a little bit tougher to see. Here's what's cool. The date is a double date with independent digits, which gives me a little bit of a thrill. And unlike most quantième perpetuel watches, which are programmed until 2100, this one's actually accurate until 2400. There is a quick set for the calendar, including the date and the month. And then we have individual jumper buttons for the standalone displays. So we have the day and the moon phase, and you just press that little trigger. And by the way, the quick set for the day and the month can be set bi-directionally, so in both directions, forward and back, without damaging the mechanism. And none of this requires a setting tool. The calendar can be set both ways using only the buttons and the knobs on the case, so you don't need a pusher adjuster. AP's calendar system also includes a moon phase that is designed to appear as similar as possible to the actual moon as viewed from Earth. There's a little photorealistic representation of the surface of the moon, and it's cropped by a developing crescent shadow. That is by far the most realistic moon phase I have ever seen. It actually looks like someone took a picture of the moon, so well done, Audemars Piguet. Audemars Piguet watchmakers also achieved a miracle of packaging with their flyback split seconds chronograph system. The split mechanism, as you can see, actually sits nestled inside the ball bearing track of the winding rotor, so the winding rotor rotates around the split seconds bridge and its set of pincers. Very well done, AP. And somehow it's all water resistant to 20 meters, which might not sound like a lot, but when you consider that most repeating and sonnerie watches are rated to exactly 0, 20, which should protect you from splashes and rain, should actually be considered quite a coup, especially considering how many pushers and knobs and dials run through the side of this case. Now, Audemars Piguet is offering a mini collection from which Universelle shoppers can make their selections. If you want the solid dial, it looks like white gold is your only choice, but you do have a choice of both white gold and rose gold. And you have a choice of both beige cream dials with a sort of panda motif and an all-black dial. Make mine, by the way, the white gold beige solid dial. I find the solid dial easier to read, and in this configuration with the tone-on-tone better balanced to the eye. One key note about AP white gold, they're one of the last companies still using rhodium plate on white gold. They might even be using a flash of palladium. Some folks find this a little bit controversial, but I will say the benefit is that it has a blindingly white shine that's indistinguishable from platinum, and that's pretty cool. So bring money and be patient. All right, guys, let's see what's going on in the box. We got new friends joining every moment. We got Russell H saying, perpetual calendar good till 2400, amortize that on 1.7 million, and it's peanuts. We got Caliber YQG, thinks this is interesting. We've got Keeping Watch UK saying that moon phase is class true, and I hope we see it on less expensive AP models in the future. We've got Mark S joining in. Mark S is a regular. I always appreciate his reliable support of the show, even if he often has a little bit of a salty commentary on what I say. Mark, I love you. Alexander G is in the box. Alexander, always good to see a familiar face. And we've got Soma R saying that the proportions of this one are off. Matthew D, watching live from Kent, England. Welcome, guys, and thank you so much. Okay, wrist shots number 2. I asked, you answered. Again, good ones. Ron H joining us with his Breitling Top Time Deus, preparing for a treat at the table. Impeccable taste in every regard. Neil S and his IWC Pilot's Chrono Racing Green. Visit Watchbox in Boca Raton. We are in Boca Raton, and he does business with our own Peter Bell. Thank you for giving our sales star Peter a shout out. He's been with us since the Watch You Want days. Danny R and his James Bond Omega are a beacon in the darkness. Christopher H and Omega Ploprof here in titanium join Bison on the Great Plains of America in Oklahoma. Dash and his BMW hit the track at Darlington, better known for NASCAR racing, with his Karlev Bucher Petravi Scuba Tech. Guys, send your wrist shots to mondaymailbag@thewatchbox.com to see your wrist on my list. Okay, more code language to love. I know that some of you aren't enamored of the 1159. Well, it's got a few more opportunities to redeem itself. This is a big year for AP's long controversial dress watch, and for once, the defense side of that controversy might have the upper hand. Code 1159 finally becomes available in stainless steel. Start with the basic 41mm automatic in blue. It's a good looking watch. It's got a lovely dial. It still has that complex case that was always the best part of every Code 1159. And by AP standards at least, 25,300 seems pretty reasonable. The dial is stamped guilloche, a treatment AP is pushing hard this year. Not everyone's going to feel good about that because traditional reductive guilloche is both artisanal and traditional. AP, though, is saying that its hand-cut tooling allows it to make the stamp as thoughtfully and intricately detailed as if it were reductive guilloche, and who knows, maybe that's how they can charge 25 grand for it. So, get it in green for the same price. Green is still with us. It wasn't just a 2021, 2022 thing. But the star for me is the smoked beige dial that also uses a ceramic mid-case, which is very cool and unexpected. There you can see some of the case details that I love so much about the Code, including the empty evacuated buttress-like lugs. So this is $27,800 to get steel and ceramic with the smoked or fumé dial. And yes, there's a full range of these that also includes the 41mm chronograph for 35 grand in steel and 37.4 if you want to go steel ceramic. You do have some choices here. Honestly, these are the watches AP should have launched back in 2019 when the Code 1159 hit the market like Ishtar with predictable results. Has the watch community moved on, or are we ready to give the Code a second chance? I certainly hope so. It is definitely more interesting than a standard Calatrava, albeit very large at 41mm in diameter and 50mm lug to lug. Okay, Mark S. saying, this will flop. Mark, I always know I'll get honesty from you. And then we've got Jay Ninja saying, is it me or is it weird to have these dimensions but still be 3 ATM? It feels sporty but isn't. Vacheron had the same problem with the Quai de Lille, which until basically its last 2 years looked like a big, bold sports watch, but was only 30 meters. Later, for its last 2 model years, it did have 100-meter water resistance, and they didn't have to change much about the case or its seals or its crown. So AP, please, we've got a steel Code 1159. Make it 100 meters. Please do that. Wrist shots number 3. You guys are always the star on Watches Tonight. Eric N. of North Carolina in the mid-Atlantic of the U.S. hits the road with his Porsche 911 and Ralph Lauren's sporting chrono. Ralph Lauren watches a joint venture with Richemont, and guys, FYI, one of the best kept secrets in luxury horology. Roy S. and his Mustang Mach-E join forces with the Breitling Premier B09 Burgundy chrono with a quartz truck and mechanical watch. I love that combo. Mark O. of Canada celebrates his first anniversary with his true love and his second true love, the Omega Seamaster Diver 300 meter. Ken O. of the Philippines tracks the calendar with his Platinum Limited Edition JLC Master Calendar. Eric O. stages a shot of the Rolex OP36 Candy Pink, gifted to celebrate his daughter's wedding, and that is her wrist right there. I love the sentiment, guys. Send your wrist shots to mondaymailbag@thewatchbox.com to see your analog on my digital. Or if you like quartz watches, your digital on my digital. What else is going on in the box? We've got Doc Fink saying the new Calatrava is exactly what it looks like, a classy and handsome dress watch. I'm not sure what these new APs are trying to be. We've got a Mick in Florida saying it's much better in the hand, and then Adam Crossfire saying Longines did better with the Legend Diver, and then Russell H saying no Code 1159 is a dress watch in his honest opinion. And Brady P saying I was at an AP boutique and they told me before these releases that this will be the year the Code 1159 and everyone will be given the opportunity to get a code before the Royal Oak. Okay, we'll see what that means in practice. Jay Ninja saying 100 meters, and I'm a buyer for sure. AP, please make this happen with the steel codes. Or give us a tantalum code if you really want to wow us. Royal Oaks, you knew they were coming. It's an AP show, and we've got plenty of them. And they're mostly excellent. The headliner this year is the Royal Oak Concept Split Seconds Chronograph GMT. In a year that didn't include the Universelle, this would have been the star launch. It's a 43mm and titanium, so expect it to wear light but large. The dial is plastered with a double date, a GMT at 3 o'clock, and the chronograph system. And as with the Universelle, the automatic winding system has a little donut hole cutout for the split seconds mechanism. And also, like the Ultra Comp, this caliber 4407 chronograph features both flyback and split seconds functions. Crunching the numbers and doing the conversion from the 170,000 Swiss franc price, in the US you're going to pay about $183,000 for this, with the qualifier that Audemars Piguet now allows its AP houses and factory boutiques to charge over MSRP for its own new watches. Okay, I'll also say my greatest reservation here isn't the price or the size, it's the fact that this rather aggressive looking sporting watch, technically it's not an offshore, it's a Royal Oak, but it's still only 50 meters water resistant. I just don't think that's enough for something like this. Keep in mind that AP might have a better sports watch for committed aquanauts. Want more? Go offshore. This is the 30th anniversary of the oversized luxury sports classic. Can you believe it's 3 decades since the Emmanuel Guet original bowed at the Basel Watch and Jewelry Show in 1993. So the Royal Oak Offshore Flying Tourbillon chronograph is a 43mm black ceramic, titanium, and rose gold riposte to Richard Mille, and a statement of intent by Audemars Piguet in the sports watch class that it created. It's also 100 meters water resistant, so if you want to go swimming, especially with that strap on, this is the one you want. Huge watches are not dead at AP, and this olive green machine is here to prove it. I love that green tack and the green accents on the movement. Inside out color contrasts are cool. The red and the rose gold with the black really pop too. You'll pay $307,000 to put the caliber 2967 on your wrist. Here it is with all of its skeletonizations and cutouts. It packs a chronograph, a flying tourbillon, and rotor winding of a 65-hour power reserve, which is decent all things considered. There's a column wheel, a lateral clutch, and this one is a limited edition of 100 pieces. So line up, because it's going to be an AP house and boutique exclusive, and I suspect they'll be gone fairly quickly. AP traditionalists, and I guess we can call offshore fans traditionalists now, right? 30 years has become part of the institution, not the rebellion. But if you yearn for the simpler days of the 1990s, then you will love the new Royal Oak Offshore Black Ceramic. This 42mm bruiser recalls the 1999 End of Days limited edition that arguably started the Royal Oak Offshore limited edition madness of the 2000s. And it's still a killer look. Full ceramic case, lugs, bezel, and bracelet. This is the answer to scratches on your Royal Oak Offshore. We've got the classic petite tapisserie, which is beautiful on a offshore, because otherwise on the other offshores you get the mega tapisserie dial, which is stamped, whereas this is still pantograph cut. You get the baton hands, you get the blob indices, just like you would have found on the 1990s reference 25721 in metal. But it's got a modern caliber 4401 column wheel vertical clutch chrono and a 100-meter water resistant case and a 3-day power reserve. They're saying this is the full ceramic Royal Oak Offshore that you've been waiting for if you hate scratches, because it is also the first full ceramic case, bracelet, and bezel Royal Oak Offshore chronograph ever offered. So it's a historic piece and a famous first. It will be $84,400 to put this beast on your wrist, but for those who want more contrast, a 30th anniversary model, 43mm in a bold yellow gold and black ceramic combination, can be had for only $60,300. Let's see what you guys are saying here in the box. All right, John Goodman, greetings from Big Sky Country in the American Midwest. Always good to see another American in the box. We got Thomas saying, I need a tungsten carbide AP. That would be cool. I would love to see the machine that makes it too. It would probably cost $6 million and be the size of a house, and suck up enough kilowatts to basically put a nuclear power plant out of commission. What else is going on here? Jim Millett saying, the Royal Oak Offshore End of Days is still my Royal Oak Offshore, and it's also my favorite unintentionally funny movie. If you want a real groaner to laugh at, End of Days, highly recommended. What else is going on in the box? We've got Ramel joining in from Washington, D.C., and Kent D. saying, like the Atom Smasher, undoubtedly a reference to my power requirements qualifier for that tungsten carbide certified molding machine. What else is going on? Julian T saying, I like that black and gold, except my budget is drained. Jim Mild saying, many people worry about the fragility of ceramic. Can you put their minds at ease, Tim? Yes, I can. If you're not the type to constantly chip and shatter sapphire crystals on your watches, don't worry about ceramic. If you're the guy who regularly dents metal and chips or shatters sapphire, you're going to want to stay away from ceramic. So for most normal people or even fairly active sports watch users, it shouldn't be a problem. Now if you get like some Chinese ceramic watch, all bets are off, but the good stuff from Switzerland shouldn't give you any trouble. All right, what else is going on? Wrist shots number 4, Andre Z. Andre, I love it. He's a multi-speed master collector, flying with his speedies in New Jersey. We've got Luca L. of Germany, impresses with his piece unique Philippe Pikulik, which is a wonderful and rising German domestic market independent brand. We've got Russ H. brightening his workday with the latest white gold Rolex Submariner, and Scott B. practicing landscape photography in the Faroe Islands with his Omega Seamaster Aquaterra Golf. I think that's the Rory McIlroy version right there. And Donald G. drives us home with his Rolex Deep Sea Deep Blue in his awesome 2022 Chevrolet C8 Corvette. I've got my own Corvette behind me on the shelf, and it represents, that's actually the 2003 anniversary model, which is 1 year and a few shades of red removed from my Magnetic Red 2 2002 that lives downstairs. Okay. Send your shots to mondaymailbag@thewatchbox.com. We love our watches and wheels. Send me a photo of your car, any car, with your watch. The original Octagon. Do you want to do battle in the Octagon? Well, you do so well equipped. Rolex recently has had great success combining turquoise and yellow gold. So AP is stealing from the best, really, with its new turquoise yellow gold Royal Oak. This is a mid-size, 37 millimeters. The watch has a glowing turquoise stone dial, although the press photos make it look oddly greener than it appears in natural light. Rest assured, it's far more blue in person. You'll find when you actually see it, it doesn't look radioactive like this studio photo does. The yellow gold can be an overpowering thing, and I always find that yellow gold works better in smaller sizes and vintage, so it's a better match for this mid-size 37 Royal Oak than on other versions. And yes, this is a unisex watch. It wears like I would say a 38, 39. It doesn't feel like a 37 on the wrist. It's not a ladies' Royal Oak. Those exist. They're much smaller. They're around 34 millimeters. This is for him or for her, and again, I really don't think a 41 or larger in yellow gold would have worked, so I like AP's discretion here. The movement is an odd one, though finished to an AP standard, rugged and decently long-legged with a 60-hour power reserve. The caliber 5900 is actually a rare customer caliber, being Vaucher manufacturer based, and it's one of the few customer calibers that AP still employs. In general, AP these days makes all of its own movements. Even the old JLC bases are now made in-house. This is an interesting case of AP going outside the organization to get a movement in the modern era. That said, the watch looks great, and the yellow gold finishing is exhaustive enough to justify the 51,000 Swiss franc price of this, which is going to be around 55,000 US dollars. And I think it's worth what they're asking. Okay, my sentimental favorite this year is the 6.2 millimeter thick Royal Oak Perpetual Calendar Ultra Thin. This was the R&D number 2 in its day. It's 41 millimeters in diameter, automatic calendar. It's the full titanium version of the previous titanium platinum R&D number 2 that won the GPHG Ægidal back in 2019. It's a lovely calendar module, which you can see right here. The module itself is less than half a millimeter thick, beautifully detailed under the dial, with a photorealistic moon phase and a lovely aventurine glass cosmos disc under the moon. We have to expect to pay more. The ultra thin titanium here is going to be a 200-piece limited edition for 137,000 Swiss francs, which is going to be just over 140,000 US dollars. Yes, there will be a waiting list. Yes, availability will be limited. But I think between going for the platinum and the titanium, ultra thin for me should be otherworldly. And in titanium, it truly will feel as spectacular as it looks. And yes, there is a jumbo for this model year, and it's a good one. After last year's next generation jumbo reference 16202 renewed the original Royal Oak, we get white gold here. It's still 39 millimeters in diameter by 8.1 thick, but the news this year is that the 1992 model 14802's platinum exclusive dial comes back. A mesmerizing look. Now, they only made 20 of those 14802 20th anniversary Royal Oaks in platinum, and this particular dial, which is sometimes described as the Tuscan, was achieved by a sort of hammered chiseling, and it set a marker back then for elegance and intricacy. Well, it's back now. The new grande dial is brighter and more intense and a little bit more saturated overall, looking rather like textured aventurine, far more, I would say, pronounced than it was on the 20th anniversary Royal Oak, though you can see the lineage is clear. The new and controversial 2022 caliber 7121 returns for better or worse. Better because you now get a 55-hour power reserve rather than 40, plus a quick set for the date, plus a more rugged construction. Worse because it doesn't have the history of the old JLC-based movement, and frankly, it's not quite finished to the standard of the old Jumbo's caliber 2121. This Jumbo, though, is fantastic, and it's going to retail for 65,000 Swiss francs, or about 70,000 US dollars, which even seems quite fair for what it is from AP after all. But like many models this year, it is an AP exclusive at their boutiques and AP houses, which are these sort of domestic-like environments that are less salesy, but very exclusive. Well, you're going to have trouble getting this watch. We know that AP had declared that only its stores will sell them, but also that its stores are free to apply market adjustments as necessary, making AP one of the first Swiss watch brands to openly declare that its stores will apply aftermarket style markups to new watches. So keep that in mind. Given demand, I assume that only VIPs of the Audemars Piguet brand will have the pleasure of being fleeced by those AP factory stores. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been an absolute blast, and I love to read what you have to say because you make the show in the chat box. By the way, Jock D, thank you for making it in. We've got Sasha saying best watch-related show in history. That's high praise. I would just be happy to make this my best show of the still young 2023 year. And we got Russell H saying that ultra-thin perpetual calendar is fantastic, while S&J pouring a little cold water saying that's a nice Grand Seiko dial. Well taken. Guys, join me on Instagram where you can learn more about the Tim Masso lifestyle, people I meet, things I see, happenings around the office, and of course, an endless procession of one-minute watch reviews of watches that I think are the best of our collection and often not listed on the Watchbox website. Finally, let me know below what you want to see for future discussions and topics. If you're watching this recorded, tell me in the description comments below this video, what do you want to see on future episodes of Watches Tonight? Thanks to Sean for making the magic happen visually. Thanks to all of you for making the best job in the world possible. Time out, Tim out, and thanks for logging on.